The Beautiful Tiger, adapted from a story by Christopher Bice in A Bucket Full of Dreams. There was once a young, beautiful, and powerful tiger who roamed the jungle. One day, a man captured her and put her into a cage. The man kept the cage in the jungle not far from his house. Every morning, he brought a bowl of water for the lonely tiger, and every evening, the woman who was his wife brought the tiger a bowl of food. One morning, the tiger saw her reflection in the water the man had brought, and she said, "Oh, I am a beautiful tiger." The man replied, "No, you're not. You're ugly. You're a pitiful creature." And the tiger believed him. When she was first captured, the tiger would strut back and forth around her little cage. She felt the energy and power moving through her body, and she'd say to herself, I must be a powerful tiger." One night, when the woman came to feed her, the tiger said to her, "I'm a powerful tiger." The woman looked at her in surprise and shook her head sadly. She said, "Oh no, you're not, dear. You're very weak and puny. That's why we keep you in this cage. You need us to take care of you because you'd never survive out in the jungle." And the tiger believed her. Then, one day, when the man and woman were nowhere to be found, a huge male tiger happened to walk by the cage. The tiger saw the tiger inside and spoke to her. "Beautiful and power tiger, what are you doing lying about in that cage?" "Don't make fun of me," she replied. "I know that I'm neither beautiful nor powerful." "I'm not making fun of you," said the male tiger. "You are surely the most beautiful and powerful tiger I've ever seen. I'm only surprised to see you lying here when clearly you're strong enough to break out that flimsy cage." "Do you really think I could break out of here?" she asked. "Quite easily, I should think," he replied. The caged tiger wasn't so sure at first. She'd been told so many times that she was weak and pitiful. But as she paced back and forth, she began to feel energy and strength. She leaped against the cage door, and it flew open. She bounded out and said to her new friend, "That door didn't even have a lock on it." Her friend looked at her soft brown eyes and said, "Those kinds of traps don't need locks, for it's the lies we believe in that keep us in our cages. And it's the truth that will set us free." I invite you now to join and sing in hymn 1053, How Could Anyone in Your Teal Hymnals. The words will also be on the screen. Please stand as you are able.
In her poem, The Summer Day, Mary Oliver ends with a line you may have heard before. "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Her words have resonated so deeply with so many. You can find these words stuck onto mirrors, tacked onto bulletin boards, stitched into embroidery, featured on blogs, and I'm sure lots of other places. But it's interesting. People tend to respond in vastly different ways to this provocative question. Lisa Leahy, an author and lecturer on overcoming resistance to change, writes, "Some people are delighted by the question's reminder that their lives are in their own hands, while for others, it is a novel but wonderful idea that they could actually plan to do something with their own lives. Other people feel ashamed of not being able to answer the question. And others are angry with the presumption that they can plan their lives. Still others laugh at the word precious, feeling quite clear that there is nothing precious about their lives at the moment. Instead, life feels like a weight, a fight, or worse. Some feel so beaten down that they say it seems foolhardy to even imagine being in charge of their own lives. How could people hear this question so differently? Well, different personalities and different experiences, of course. But there's another way of understanding this range of perspectives. Mary Oliver's question goes to the heart of our sense of personal power and agency, that feeling of being in charge of our own lives. And that's what I'd like to explore with you this morning. If we imagine ourselves as newborn babies, how much power and control do we have over our lives? Not very much, right? To try to get what we need, we can cry, and if a nipple is put into our mouth, we can suck to make the hunger go away. But that's about it. We feel warmth and love when our needs are being met, and we feel afraid and angry when they're not. Part of being human is that we suffer from the moment we're born. We suffer physically with pain and discomfort, and we suffer psychically as needs go unmet, and our sense of being whole and good is injured. Most of us are told some kind of story that we're not enough in one way or another, like the beautiful tiger. When those stories get activated, many of us will then operate from a place of fear. Often it's an unconscious reaction. Fear, though, keeps us small, and it keeps others small as well. We limit our own potential, and we limit the potential of those around us. Fear can make us believe that we don't have much personal agency. It seems to us that our options and our power to choose are limited or non-existent. In the 1960s, a psychiatrist named Stephen Karpman realized that there were certain fear-based patterns of behavior in family relationships that he observed over and over. Karpman had an interest in theater and drama, and he began to look at these patterns as roles that he could identify. Karpman identified 3 roles, and he diagrammed them on an inverted triangle, which we'll have a picture of on the screen immediately after I speak. And he called this the drama triangle. So as you can see, the central character at the bottom of the triangle, he called the victim. This is not an actual victim, but it's rather someone who feels and acts like one. The other 2 characters are in a one-up position over the victim. He called them the persecutor and the rescuer. And before I go any further, I want to point out that these are not behaviors only exhibited by the mentally ill or those who seek out therapy. Virtually all of us have acted in these roles, even though we might not like to admit it. But this morning, I invite us to be a little vulnerable and open to the possibility that we might have been in each of these roles at some time. Because if we can see ourselves in these roles, we can also transform them into a sense of that agency, that sense that we are in charge of our own lives. The victim is one who feels that they can't do anything to change their situation or to get what they want or need. They feel helpless, hopeless, ashamed, and unable to find pleasure in life. They feel sorry for themselves, and their stories basically say, "Poor me." The persecutor says to the victim, "It's all your fault." The persecutor is blaming, judgmental, critical, angry, and acts superior. The rescuer's line is, "Oh, let me help you." The rescuer is overly helpful. They feel anxious and guilty if they don't go to the rescue to help the poor victim. The rescuer needs to be needed, so unconsciously they need to keep the victim feeling helpless and dependent. Although each of these characters has a usual role, they can change their position on the triangle. For example, the victim might get fed up with the persecutor or the rescuer. "Oh, leave me alone," and lash out at them. Well, now the victim is a persecutor. Any of the players can lash out at any of the other players, who usually then react like a victim. If all this is getting confusing, don't worry. We're going to do a little demonstration in a minute. First, though, let's take a look at a simple example of the drama triangle. How about the story of the beautiful tiger that Steffi read for us? Who was the victim in that story? The beautiful tiger, right. Who was the persecutor? The people. Especially the man. And who was the rescuer? And that the male tiger. That is not wrong. But let's think about what the rescuer role is in the drama triangle. They need to keep the victim helpless and dependent. Remember the woman who said, "Oh, no, you'd never survive out there. That's why we keep you here. You have to stay here so we can take care of you." So that was the rescuer in the drama triangle, the unhealthy kind of rescuer. The male tiger is a kind of rescuer, and he does have an important role in the story, and we're going to talk about that role a little bit later. We're going to look at how all of these roles can transform, because, of course, this triangle is not a place we want to stay in forever. The people who find themselves stuck in these roles all have several things in common. All of them are reacting unconsciously from a place of fear. They've all been told a story of being not enough, just like the beautiful tiger. To avoid facing that painful story, they focus their attention on someone or something other than this deep pain. So, do these role descriptions resonate with anyone else? Anyone else willing to admit it? Oh, good. Because they really are kind of universal for people at times. They do resonate with me. Not so much these days, but I can see I spent a lot of time in that triangle with my spouse and my kids for years until I began to see the light. And with that, let's take a look at a little family drama. And I'm going to invite Lois up to play a part that she said she's going to be a natural at.
Did I say that? Okay.
I believe you did.
Okay, I did. All right.
All right. So, just to give you a little background, this is a scenario with two parents and a child, and they're all playing roles on the drama triangle. And let's see if you can identify which role each speaker is playing as the drama unfolds. And let's use hand signals. So, if you hear someone sounding like a victim, "Oh, poor me," hold up two fingers like this. V for victim. All right, very good. And if you hear someone sounding like a persecutor, "Oh, it's all your fault," wag your finger like this. Yep, got it. And if you hear someone sounding like a rescuer, "Oh, you poor thing, I need to save you. I need to help you." Put your hands out like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to help you." All right. Let's see how we do. It can get a little tricky now because these roles can switch. You know, one character can switch from one role to another. So we'll try to pause between each part to give you a moment. And let's see how we do. So I'm going to play the roles of narrator and one of the parents. And Steffi will be the other parent. And Lois will be the child. Remember I said she was a natural? And we're parents, so this is a natural for us too. So here's the background. One parent's relaxing with a cup of tea in hand, ready to do some Netflix binging. She just tutored the kids on their math homework. They are supposed to be all set, doing their homework in their room. The other parents in the kitchen making their favorite chocolate chip cookies. And one of the kids runs in, all upset, while the brother stays in the bedroom. And the drama begins.
Billy is so mean. He's teasing me.
Now the child trips over the table and spills tea on the remote. We're not going to ask you to actually do that, but picture it. Oh no, you just spilled tea all over the remote. You kids, I told you to stay in your rooms and do your homework. There we go, all right. Now look what you've done. You broke the remote. You've ruined my whole afternoon.
But Billy was teasing me.
Okay.
Chill out. You're totally being too harsh.
Oh, she's blaming. Yeah, there you go. Harsh? Chill out? You really are out of line judging me. Yeah. Chilling out is exactly what I was trying to do. Where's your sympathy? I worked so hard all week, and I finally have a chance to relax, and now it's all ruined.
I'm not judging you. I just think you're being too harsh. I'm just trying to protect our little baby here. He's just a little guy, aren't you, sweetheart?
It's okay. Please don't fight. I'll pay to fix it. I promise.
Yep, okay. Oh, just stay out of this and go back to your room.
Meh.
I seem to be good at that role. Thank you, Steffi. Thank you, Lois. How was that? Thank you. And you all did a great job. I think it was pretty clear no one was feeling good about themselves in this scenario. Everyone was feeling frustrated and unable to resolve the conflict. They really didn't get it resolved. All the roles in the drama triangle stem from a dynamic of fear and a desire to control. All the players are acting from their woundedness. And even though one role, the persecutor, seems to be a powerful role, it's really a cover-up. At their core, all the players are lacking a sense of their own authentic power, their own agency. If we can relate to any or all of the roles we've just looked at, we might wonder, what's the alternative? If I don't want to feel and act like a victim or a persecutor or a rescuer, how can I change? There's a little book about something that the author, David Emerald, calls the empowerment dynamic. In my compassionate listening work, we call it the circle of empowerment. So we go from the triangle to the circle, hence the title of my sermon, which is about geometry. Yeah, okay. The first step towards stepping off the triangle and into the circle, beginning the process of transformation, is to reclaim our self-compassion, loving and accepting ourselves as we truly are. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? We need to look at the lies we've taken in about who we are, the lies that keep us trapped in fear. We need to start telling ourselves the truth. The truth is we're already beautiful and whole and powerful. We are all beautiful tigers. When I was raising 2 children, Steffi and I were talking about this a little bit before the service. One of my children had undiagnosed neurodivergence. I had a spouse who struggled with several issues. I myself had anxiety and depression, and I often found myself stuck in one of the roles in the drama triangle. Because of where I've been and my long journey since then, I know that adopting new, healthier stories about ourselves is hard work. It takes courage, and it takes time, and it takes support. There's no magic formula. But let's take a look at the circle of empowerment for a moment, because that can give us some powerful tools that we can start to put into practice right now. Each of these roles on the drama triangle can transform. In this model, the victim becomes a creator, the persecutor becomes a champion, and the rescuer becomes a coach. The victim, who transforms to become a creator, changes their orientation. We felt helpless and trapped. Now we begin to use our creativity to see choices. We become the author of our own unfolding. Now we can decide what we want to do with our one wild and precious life. And then we take action to achieve our goals. Self-compassion practices are key here. As we come to love ourselves more, we can make the choices to do those things that help us live happy and meaningful lives. Two things can help us. One, we practice gratitude for our many blessings. And secondly, we extend a spirit of generosity toward others. Next, the persecutor role transforms to become a champion. Rather than putting others down with criticisms, we offer a compassionate call to the other person to be better. When we love ourselves, it leads us to want to be kind and supportive of others. I used to be really good at finding fault with everyone around me, so that's why I was so good at that persecutor role. Why do we criticize, though? What does it say about how we feel about ourselves? Projection. Yeah, so we're not feeling good about ourselves. That's exactly right. And I think it's important to understand that. So, as a champion, instead of hurtful criticism, we might lovingly challenge the other person to be their best self. A champion can also turn away from their hurtful habit of criticizing and toward a new habit of expressing gratitude and genuine appreciation. I have this wonderful yoga teacher, and she often gets left and right confused when she's teaching. And it's not that easy because you have to do like mirror images. Anyway, for us as the students, it can be a little frustrating. But the other day, she did a beautiful job of explaining something really complicated. My old persecutor self might have said snarkily, well, you finally got it right, you know. But my champion decided to compliment her at the end of class. I said, Katrina, I know how challenging it can be for you when it comes to left and right, but you did a beautiful job with that today. Well, you should have seen her face light up. She said, thank you so much. You just made my day. It was a beautiful moment. And seeing her reaction made my day. That's the authentic power of being in the circle of empowerment. The power to make someone's day. The power to make our own day. So different from the dynamics in the drama triangle. The last role is the rescuer, who feels compelled to help others. This role transforms to become a coach. When we, as the rescuer, really get in touch with our self-compassion, we realize that we're worthy as we are. And we also recognize that often the most compassionate and respectful way of being in relationship with someone we care about is to encourage them to find their own answers to their challenges. That's a big shift. Now, we set aside our ideas about what another person should do. We refrain from offering advice, even when we're sure we know exactly what's best for them. Anybody ever feel that way? Yeah. But our gift to them is not advice or rescuing. No, our gift to them is to encourage them to learn to trust themselves. We can do this by asking questions. Questions that help them clarify what they need and want. Questions that help them find a different way of seeing things. Sometimes a good coach asking the right questions can help a person get unstuck. What a beautiful gift. Remember the male tiger in the story we heard in the jungle? He was actually a coach. What if you just tried to break out of your trap? He asked. That's a great coach question. And there are times when the moments in which these questions are asked are sacred moments, when we feel love with a capital L in our midst, when we are witness to someone else's transformation. It can be a profound honor to be a witness to those moments. Love calls us to our best selves. It calls us to the truth, and love calls us to heal. We all have the capacity to heal. Through loving ourselves and putting love out there into the world, we can leave behind the disempowered roles of victim and persecutor and rescuer. And we can all become self-empowered creators, champions, and coaches. Creating our own future, championing and coaching others, roles that heal us and heal those around us. But let's remember, no one of us can do this work alone. We need each other. To paraphrase from our meditation, let us take a moment to remember who we are, companions in this great experiment called life. Let us help each other to shed the ways we've been carefully taught that we are less than whole, less than enough. Let us listen to each other's stories of struggle and healing. Let us see and hear each other into fully being, into community, so that together we can practice a different way of being, a way that truly honors all of who we are and thus honors all of who we all are. This is the call of love. What will you do with your one wild and precious life? Will you answer the call of love? Because when we do, then we are living into the promise of building the world that we dream about. Because that's what this work is all about. May it be so.